Smoky eyes can be really scary, especially if you don't have the right techniques. So in today's video, I'm walking you through my signature easy brown smoky eye. I'm wearing it on my eyes right now. I've tried to make this look as wearable and universally flattering as possible. As a fair-skinned, small-eyed girly, smoky eyes can get out of hand really quickly. I'm sure a lot of us can relate. So I'm going to be walking you through every step of the way, showing you all of the products I like to use to make this sort of eye look very easy to achieve. If you want to know how to get this perfect brown smoky eye, keep on watching. Obviously, the eyes are the centerpiece of this look, so for my base, I really want everything to look perfected without taking away from the attention that should be going to my eyes. By the way, yes, I am wearing contacts. I'm going to link the exact ones I'm wearing down below. I've tried a lot of contacts. A lot of them are either uncomfortable or just too unnatural looking. I actually really have been liking this brand. They look very natural and they're very, very comfortable. So if you're into colored contacts, check them out below. I want my skin to look perfected, but I don't want it to look heavy. So I've actually been loving this foundation. This is the PatMcGrath Major Skin Hydro Luxe Luminous Skin Perfecting Foundation, and I'm using the shade Rosy Neutral. I'm using my fingers to apply a thin layer of this all over my face before going in with my foundation brush. This one is by Hourglass. It is so good. Again, I'm gonna link it down below as well as everything else I'm using, but I'm just applying a nice thin layer of this, building it up in some areas if I need a little bit more coverage. This foundation definitely gives a glowy, luminous coverage. You can build it up, but it doesn't feel heavy on the skin at all. It kind of feels like a skin tint with a little bit more coverage. To enhance my bone structure a little bit, I'm gonna go in with contour. I haven't been able to put this one down. This one's by Too Faced. This is their Melting Bronzing and Sculpting Stick in the shade Milk Chocolate. I'm mainly focusing this on the outsides of my face, on my cheekbones, forehead, a little bit on my nose and chin. This bronzer stick fits all my criteria. It blends so easily. It melts into the skin. It's not too orange. It looks like a true shadow. And also the size of the stick, it's a little bit smaller than traditional contour sticks that I've seen, so it's really easy to be precise with this bronzer. It's basically impossible to over apply. By the way, to blend that out, I use this double-sided Tennille Jai brush. This is her base and buff brush. I find this so good for contour. I use this shorter, kind of dense, stubby side to initially blend it out, and then if I need a little bit more, I use this bigger side, and then I just go right on top of that. This added such a nice warmth and definition to my face, but it looks really natural and light, which I prefer. There's just a lot of really heavy looking contour sticks out there that are also really hard to blend out. That's such a common issue I have. For blush, I do want to keep it pretty natural and kind of like sticking with the earthy tones. So I'm going to go in with the Rhode Pocket Blush in the shade Freckle. This is a really pretty kind of nudie peachy shade. The texture of this formula is also really light and just melts into the skin, kind of similar to the bronzer stick actually. I did a very in-depth review on these blushes, so if you want to see all the colors swatched and everything like that, I'll have that on the screen, but I do find this blush goes really well with a brown smoky eye. I haven't used this blush in a minute and I forgot how much I loved it. This color is just so pretty and it does go with almost any makeup look, but especially with like earthy tones. Oof, it just looks so good. Now for concealer, you've heard me talk about this one before. It is one of my favorite concealer formulas of all time, the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Concealer. She's a little pricey, but she is worth it. I'm applying it underneath my eyes, anywhere that needs a little extra coverage, the center of my face, around my mouth, anywhere I have a bit of discoloration, and then I'm blending that out. This gives medium buildable coverage. It's a bit of thinner texture, so it's not gonna get cakey and gummy underneath your eyes, and I actually find this wears for a really long time without creasing as well. I'm pretty particular about my concealers. I hate anything that's too heavy. I hate anything that gets gummy and creases too much on me. So this has been my go-to concealer for a while. So that's everything that I'm going to apply for creams. I'm gonna let that marinate and I'm gonna set it with setting spray. I'm going in with the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. This is just a staple in my collection and I am spraying a thin layer of that all over my face. Now moving on to the fun part, eyes. Whenever I do a heavier eye makeup, I like to make sure I go in with a nice base, and these new ones from Morphe are really surprisingly good. This is their Solo Artist Priming Cream Shadow in the shade Airplay, and I'm just using a flat concealer brush to apply that all over my lid. This is going to cover up any discoloration we have as well as give the eyeshadows a nice base to stick and adhere to, prolonging the wear of the eye look. Now for this first step, you're going to want a nice fluffy brush. This is a Rephr 15. This is one of my favorite blending brushes. It really airbrushes the shadows out with very little effort from me. It basically does the work for me, which I love. I'm going to create a transition color for myself that's similar to the bronzer shade I used. So I'm going to mix these two together. And a little trick I like to do is I like to swirl the brush on the meaty part of my hand just to make sure the shadow is diffused evenly across the tip of the brush, and so I don't have excess shadow. Then I'm applying that shade to my crease in windshield wiper motions. I kind of like to give my eyes a little bit of a lifted look, so I am dragging this slightly upwards towards my temple, but you don't have to use that shape if you don't want to. I really want this to look nice and airbrushed, so I'm going in with a light hand, just building it up until I'm happy with it. So now we're gonna apply some color on our mobile lid. This is gonna kind of depend on your skin tone and your comfort level with smoky eyes. For me, I have very fair skin, so I don't like to go too dark with my all over lid color because in my opinion, it kind of overwhelms my eyes a little bit, but if your eyes carry a smoky eye really well, you might be able to get away with a slightly darker color, or if you have a darker skin tone, obviously, you will be able to wear a darker tone. I think for me, I'm gonna go in with the shade right here. It's a nice medium brown, not too light, not too dark. And again, just tapping off the excess on my hand and just using a flat packer brush. This is a Revela 02 brush. I have a lot of these kicking around because I kind of use them for everything, my crease, my lower lash line, my eyelid. But today I'm using this to pack this color on my mobile lid. I'm kind of meeting the edges to where I applied that crease color, and we're gonna blend that together a little bit later. And then to soften everything up, I'm just going in with that same brush I used on my crease earlier and blending everything together really nice and softly. You can always go back and forth between building up the shade and blending until you're happy with it. This look is really customizable depending on the intensity that you're looking to achieve. So now we're gonna line the waterline and the tight line. For today's video, I'm using brown because I think brown looks a little bit more natural, and it also flatters my eye color a little bit better. I find black to be a bit too intense, but if you want to use black, by all means use black. I'm going in with the Huda Beauty Longwear Eye Pencil in the shade Very Brown. This one stays put in the waterline really nicely. It doesn't smudge around on me, so that's why I like to use this one. The Prada Beauty eye pencils are also really good. I'll link that one as well. But yeah, I'm just running this along my waterline. I'm not bringing it all the way into my inner corner, but almost. This is really gonna give us that sultry, smoky look. And I'm also running it on my top lash line in between every single lash to really deepen my lash line. So as you can see, this is a little messy, and that is totally okay. We're gonna clean it up a little bit right now. I'm gonna take this medium brown that I used on my lid on a small smudger brush. You wanna use something very small and dense and detailed for this step. And you're gonna keep this really tight to your waterline, almost like you're blending out the edges of that eyeliner you just applied. You don't wanna go overboard with this step, just less is more. You can always add more later, but again, it's very hard to take away makeup once you've applied it. So just take your time with this step. What we did on the top, we're basically doing on the bottom to make the lower lash line look nice and diffused and a little bit softer. I am gonna go in with these two shades that I used in my crease earlier on a small smudger brush again. And I'm just running that right on top of what we just did. This is gonna give it a little bit of a softer look, a little bit more subtle, but it's also just gonna make everything blend together really nicely. And then to really seal in the deal and perfect everything, I like to go in with a small kind of detailed blending brush. This is the Revela 13, and I just run it all along that lower lash line. And I just diffuse everything a little bit more. I like the lower lash line to be very smoky and soft. Okay, so now I'm gonna work on the upper lash line because I do wanna add a little bit of a subtle winged liner. You can also use either black or brown for this step. I think I'm gonna use black for this time. If you want a bit more of a softer look, you can use like a very dark espresso brown like this, but I'm going in with a teeny tiny angled brush and picking up the black shade in this palette. And I'm just gonna begin to create a small subtle wing on the outer corner of my eye. I'm not bringing this all the way into the inner corner. I'm mainly just focusing on that outer edge. I'm slightly lifting this up towards my temples just to continue to accentuate that lifted eye look. Okay, so I actually think that's looking pretty good. You could totally leave it here if you want, but I do want to layer a kohl eyeliner pencil on top of that black liner just for a little bit more intensity. I'm using my Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal liner in the shade Black. And I'm applying this on top of that liner, but I'm staying within the edges. I'm not going over the edges. If I go over the edges, we're gonna lose that smokiness, and we don't want that. To perfect that liner, I'm just gonna go in with that same small angled brush, and I'm just gonna slightly tap the edges and just melt that pencil liner in with the shadow. You really just wanna take your time here because this is kind of gonna make or break the look. You don't wanna rush this part. I'm pretty happy with how that looks, so I'm gonna hop off camera really quickly and just do my other eye. All right, I'm back. Both eyes are done. I do want to leave you with a little tip in case you kind of messed up the edges of your eyeliner. Sometimes the bottom edge can get a little bit messy, so I want to show you what I do to just crisp it up. So I'll either take a little tiny bit of concealer, or I'll take an eyeshadow like this, something close to my skin tone, maybe mix these two together. I kind of like using eyeshadow because it's a little bit easy. Concealer can be a little less forgiving, but anyways, pick which one that you're most comfortable with. And then I just like to ever so lightly tap that right underneath my eyeliner, just like this, on a very detailed brush. This one's by MAC. I don't know which one it is, but I will link it down below. But as you can see, that just kind of sharpens up that area a little bit, makes it a bit more contrasty, and just perfects it. Okay, so now we're gonna finish off the eyes. I do have my eyelashes curled already. I've been wanting to try this mascara for a while, so I'm gonna test it out today. This is the Makeup by Mario Master Mascara, and I am gonna be wearing a little bit of falsies on my outer corner, but I do wanna add a nice thin layer of mascara to my top and bottom lashes just to blend better with the falsies. I found this mascara pretty easy to apply. I do wish I re-curled my lashes because they did drop a little, but I found it really easy to apply on my top and bottom lashes and no clumping. So far so good. We'll see how it wears. Now I want to add a couple cluster lashes to my outer corner. I'm going in with these ones by Emboss Beauty. These are the CL02 short lashes. This step is totally optional, but I'm just taking the longest length and placing it on my outermost corner, then going right next to that with the medium length. And then last but not least, in with the shortest length right next to that one. And that'll take us about halfway across the lashes. And I think I'm pretty happy with that. I'm gonna hop off camera and just really quickly do the other eye. Okay, so lashes are done. We're gonna add one more final touch to the eye. And here's the thing, if you wanted to, you could totally go in with like a dark liner on the inner corner, even like a little siren eye vibe. For me, I just don't think it looks good on me, and I don't feel as confident with that sort of vibe, so I'm gonna opt for a little highlight in the inner corner. I'm using the Dior Backstage Glow Face Palette, and I'm using this white shade here, and I'm just gonna pop that on my inner corner to completely finish off this eye look. I just love a bright inner corner, but again, if you like a dark inner corner, that would look great with this look as well. Now we're gonna go in with all of the finishing touches. I'm gonna set my skin. I'm going in with the Huda Beauty Easy Bake Powder in the shade Cupcake. And I'm just gonna pick that up on a little powder puff. And I'm just gonna begin to set my under eye area, being careful not to apply it on top of that eyeshadow that we have on our lower lash line. I just really wanna set that concealer we applied earlier in place. This powder is quite nice. It brightens the under eye area, which is exactly what I wanted. Just added a little bit more coverage as well. And then I'm just gonna set around the rest of my face, anywhere that gets a little bit oily. So for me, that's around my mouth and chin area especially. And then a little bit in the center of my forehead as well. I get a little oily in this area, so I'm just gonna set it down with some powder. I want to add a little bit more bronze to the face, and I've been really wanting to try this bronzer by Laura Mercier. This is their bronze color infusion in the shade 10 Saint Croix. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm going in with my Revela 05 brush, and I'm just going to bronze up the outer edges of my face, especially my forehead, dragging that into the hairline, a little bit on the cheeks as well. This brush is so good for all over the face. You could do blush, bronzer, powder, you could do everything with this brush. It's so good. I also wanted to add a little bit of extra blush as well. This one is also by Laura Mercier. This is in the shade Ginger, such a beautiful color. I'm just applying that with my Revela 04 brush to the apples of my cheeks. It really complements the Rhode blush we applied underneath. Let's move on to lips. I'm going in with the Makeup Forever Anywhere Caffeine Artist Color Pencil, and I'm just overlining my lips with that. This is a really pretty brown shade that goes with a ton of different makeup looks. I really feel like this lip liner brings this look together. I'm also going to fill in the outer corners of my lips a little bit. This is going to give the lips a more juicy kind of contoured look. For lipstick, I really just wanted a nice nude lip, so I'm going in with the Charlotte Tilbury lipstick in the shade Penelope Pink. I'm just going to dab that in the center of my lips ever so softly To be honest, I really don't know why they call this Penelope Pink because it's very much nudie brown. No makeup look is complete without a gloss, so I'm going in with my very own Charis Cosmetics Water Gloss. This gives you the most glassy, smooth, plumped looking lips. It feels like a cold glass of water on your lips, hence the name Water Gloss. And to be honest, I'm a huge fan of a silicone applicator because it doesn't get all disgusting like regular doe foot applicators do. And there you have it, the perfect brown smoky eye. I really love the way this turned out. I'm not the biggest smoky eye girl myself, but this one, I'm just a big fan. It's just so universal and looks good on literally everybody. If you want to see more eye specific looks, like maybe a black smoky eye or maybe like makeup for green eyes or brown eyes or something like that, give this video a thumbs up so I know you like this sort of content, and subscribe if you haven't already. It only takes 2 seconds. If you haven't seen my last video, it's a tutorial for a very quick and easy 15-minute long wearing makeup look. Definitely check that out. It's on the screen right now. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.